Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with a rank 1 Terran in the world, the Frenchman from Team Liquid in the red. It's Clem, facing off against the only Zerg player to defeat him on this entire patch. In the blue, we have Cyril's greatest stunt double, the Rocky Zerg. It's Solar. In a best of 5 Terran versus Zerg tournament finals to Wardi's Monday Cup. And before we get started, it'd be incredible if you could smash that like button and maybe even subscribe. Help me count the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,755 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Then Solar, who tried to go get his third, got the Zerglings out, the Reaper comes across, and everything's going all well and good. Right up until the SCV whips an engineering bay out of its backpack and slaps it down right on location, which is widely considered to be a dick move, but that's never stopped the Terrans before. And yes, this is a slightly higher cost than usual, denying the base, but we have to consider another important cost. The emotional damage to the Zerg, especially considering Solar was so committed. He was so ready, he had the Zerglings early enough to actually drive the SCV away. But Clem wasn't having it. So Solar not only is not able to take his third on the high ground, the Reaper denies the low, and now a lot of players would feel obligated, coerced into going for some sort of crazy tech or early timing. And Solar is also one of those people. With a lair already on the way, a second gas in production, you've got two real options. You go low or you go high. And recently, the flavor of the week at least, or at least a couple weeks, Mutas. And by low, of course, I mean Nidus, but really anything in between is not good enough to face your general Terran build. But either can be very effective if the Terran's going for a 1-1-1, 3cc. And Clem actually isn't getting so greedy, maybe because he built an engineering base so early he didn't have the minerals to build a third command center quite on time, but he does have his 1-1-1, the barracks, the factory, the starport, all done, but no other production and no third command center. So maybe hedging his bets now finally cancels the engineering bay, but the alarm bells start to have already been going up. He sent the Hellions around the sides, checking out the edges of the map to see if Solar was sneaky enough and bold enough to send a drone out. But no, it is one of the most obvious but still potentially effective plays. The Spire is on the way, and Mutas will be the choice. And I feel like Clem has to start realizing that this is not just a possibility but a probability soon. The third base delayed. There's really not that many options it could be. It's Nidus or Mutas, or Solar having a mental breakdown, but I wouldn't count on that. And Baneling nest as well. The Spire is 5 seconds faster than it was a few months ago. The Muta's still the same, but getting him a little bit quicker can help. And so far, it doesn't really look like Clem is respecting this. He's got the double engineering bay on the way. He's only got a couple Marines. He'll have some more momentarily, but well, the first Mutas can begin. 6 of them to start. It takes 5 Mutalisks in order to one-shot a Marine in a single valley or an SCV. So that is the key number. Usually, and then the second key number is as many as possible. And the third key number, not in numbers, none of them making sense, but I'd say is around 15. 15 Mutas is enough to quite reliably one-shot Whittle Mines and take out Medevacs, while maintaining enough to deal with the Marines from a single Medevac drop. So it already looks like Solar is quite committed to the mass Muta play. And Clem, he's got missile turrets on the way back at home. I'm not entirely sure. I think Solar was giving him the benefit of the doubt. He could have tried to sneak the Mutas out, but there's already 2 gases at the third base. He's telegraphing it like it's 1872 right now. And if he got any more gas, America would be drawing up invasion plans. So at this point, he knows that Clem can put it all together, even if he hadn't seen them in particular. And Well, have they done their job? Because the Banshee's still getting in and getting some kills. The major weakness of the Mutas is how fragile they are and how reliant your entire build is on keeping control of them. But so far, so good, as the Marines popping out of the barracks and maybe regretting that decision. Not that they really had a choice, but the Mutas slipped by directly down the center, somewhat amusingly the least defended part of the base. The barracks themselves, and now giving him a taste of his own medicine from the Banshee. The Mutas coming in and knocking out any SCVs not perfectly protected by the anti-air turrets. And so far, Solar is going to be far behind in upgrades. And Clem, the Contaminate. I was wondering why the upgrade was so far behind. This isn't a full Beyond game, but +1 infantry weapons contaminated by the Overseer, delaying the upgrade. Still, Clem will have a massive upgrade advantage. But he's struggling to do anything but sit in his base and hope to defend the Mutas. And that's still going to be the case for quite a while yet, as Solar retains map control with a murder of Mutas in the sky, and potentially Lings and Banes on the ground. He's already got Zergling speed, Baneling speed. Creep itself is the greatest speed upgrade. There's a reason. Zerg is all about getting up close and personal as quickly as possible. Now, the next inflection point, the next danger zone, if you would, for Solar. The 2-2 upgrades. When Clem is closing in on maxed out and Solar's kind of forced to use Mutas as part of his army, if he doesn't have Hived, oh, that medevac might be more dangerous. Yeah, Solar tried to bounce the glaives up to kill the medevac. The reactor works, gets another medevac for free. That's a pretty good price. A reactor as well. And so far, so good. The Muta's able to keep Clem bottled up at home. The infestation pit, though, is still non-existent. So we'll stop listening to the cast in the future. Doesn't seem very nice. Infestation pit starts. But the timer on the Zerg, as the Terran, if they're able to defend, get 69 or so SCVs like Clem has, a pretty nice economy for what it is, and then max out, the army is just better in a straight-up fight. Not that Mutas will ever give you exactly that, but the SCVs, the Contaminate, the engineer, you can still repair, which doesn't feel fair, but the engineering bay is taken out. The second one this game, I might add. This time, Solar made the decision to do so rather than Clem. But putting those engineering bays behind the mineral line is usually a safe place to put him out of the way. But Solar taking full advantage of that and denying the upgrade was one of the key advantages that Clem was going to rely on going into the mid-game here. So Solar has undercut the strength of the standing army, and now he's got plenty of his own. The creep is halfway across the map. The Muta count at 20. +1 Muta Carapace is on the way. Flyer attack is already done. And there aren't any Widow mods. A couple in production now. A Thor as well. Getting on top, takes out the missile turret alongside several SCVs. 90 drones for Solar. The Mutaling Bane style of Zerg. It's an old school style, but it certainly checks out. Solar's been around long enough to remember when this was in vogue. And here we are again. The Thor. It's like Clem wants to maybe pick it up and use it as the most dramatic turret. Alright, it takes up the entire medevac and its legs fit underneath. Alright. Which, always a amazing animation. I wish more units kind of popped out of the dropship. One, so you could tell what's in there. And two, because it looks amazing. Well, the Lings and Banes are rolling in. It's just Marines, and now already in autumn colors. He splits, he stims, but the Muta's coming in from the north side. And Clem just evaporates on the field. The Muta's isolating the Marines. He's gonna go for the planetary fortress. The missile turrets are barely a speed bump, which really wouldn't affect air units in the first place, but what a save! What a save! Oh no. Solar commits to taking out the command center, and he doesn't get it. Now, very importantly, Clem just scanned an ultraless cavalry in the main. He knows the hive is done. He knows that Solar isn't fully committed to the lair tech, but instead has grown forward into the hive. He's still going to be an existential threat to Clem's army as time goes on. And because he undercut those upgrades earlier, and he's continually whittled down the economy, there's no clear advantage anymore for Clem. Solar has played this exactly how he needed to, and he got more than he ever bargained for. And even though he wasn't able to take out the 4th command center, he's still very much in command of this game as soon as those 2-2 upgrades finish. He will take the advantage. 192 to 180 supply. Clem, about as close to 200 as Solar, I think, is willing to let him get. The chitinous plating upgrades. Clem does not have a Ghost Academy on the way. He's focused on the Marines, the Marauders, the Mines, and the Medevacs. The M&M and M&M. He wants to maintain some sort of momentum on the field, because if he doesn't, he's probably just going to get run over anyways. When your opponent has this many drones and this many bases, turtling up is usually not that much of an option. And also, Clem doesn't like it. There's that to factor in. Meanwhile, some of the Widow Mine's gonna knock the Mutas out of the sky, but they've almost overstayed their welcome at this stage. They've done a great job of keeping control of the situation. But now, Solar needs something a bit more sturdy, that he can barrel into the army and hopefully take out enough of it to refill and take out the rest. The Widow Mine saves the Thors. Caught between a rock and a hard place, much of the army. The Mutas flinging their way back towards the north side. A single missile turret. The Overseer is actually at max energy. There's a chance he could delay +2 armor again. Doesn't quite get it. But Clem still working his way around the map. The Ultras are on the field, but he hasn't been able to get very close to any of the key bases. The income has gone heavily in favor of the Zerg. And Clem's chances drastic go down. +3 infantry weapons is on the way. Clem is mining from 4 bases now. There are Thors mixed in here, which makes the Muta's lives a lot more difficult and or short. A few Banelings draws out the Widowmine hits, but there's more on the back line. Meanwhile, on the left side, but Solar's already there with Ultraslings and Banes. More massive Widowmine hits as a Thor with 1 HP and 0 fucks holds its ground. And Clem still marching forward, tearing through everything that's challenged him so far. That Thor on the back line actually helps punch through the Ultra armor. As with that much damage per hit, there's no amount of armor that's gonna save him. Ooh, just melts through the Ultras despite their chitinous plating. And the Thors will finally go down. Widowmine's trying to find a connection. Big hit. Marines on the back line. He finally avenges the base, but the hatchery is taken down. Clem doing a great job of driving this back. Widowmine's, I think he retargeted. Finds a decent hit, but the Mutas are still here to potentially clean up the Medevacs. Solar, a little bit lackadaisical on the micro, but I'm sure there's a little bit else going on. That was a sentence. Source, just trust me, bro. The army on the left side eventually came to collapse on the right, and that means just 3 Marauders and a couple Marines are able to take out the hatchery. Solar's down to 5 bases as Clem takes a 5th of his own. The midfield brawl so far has mostly gone to Solar, but he actually refilled the Muta count. He's unwilling to let it go. He's got 2-2 upgrades on the way. 20 Mutas flocking left and right and looking to cut off any of the units that aren't well protected already. And it's definitely an adjustment. We see Clem trying to make sure his army has enough strength to it in order to take out the Mutas, and when there's only 3 of them, of course, that's easy enough to do. But at the same time, it's dangerous. Look at the banks, or lack thereof. Oh, go! No, no, no! But for who? Oh, yes, yes, yes. As the Zerg overrun one of the armies, but on the other side, where Clem was clearly concentrating, the Widowmines are going to slam into Overlords as the hatchery is already dead. And the rest of the Terran army is stimming forward. Tries to pull back, drawing out the Widowmine hits, just takes him out. One shot drawn into the fray. The Ultra's still at full HP. Creep spread driven back, hatcheries taken out, Muta's nowhere to be seen. Now finally making their way across the midfield. The Medevacs are boosting back, but the Mutas are moving to intercept. And a lot of the army supply is in these Medevacs, and the Medevacs themselves are critical to the defense. Finally, some ghosts trickling out of the barracks. But this angle is certainly not ideal for the Terrans. The Ultra's coming up, targets down one missile turret, and Widowmon will take out some of the mutas. But he goes into the much more malleable third base, just an orbital command, and absolutely no units here to defend. The orbital itself may go down, as Clem is forced to kite back against the Ultras. The biomass is too much to contend with. Sure, the Ultras can get targeted down individually, but the mutas have added so much damage from the skies, and the threat of them has kept most of the medevacs off the field. The Ghosts unable to line up their shots in time. No burrow out of Solar, but he has 2/2 flyer attack, and Carapace upgrades, of course. Something you very rarely see. Keeping the mutas as a core part of the composition, he keeps going for 20 mutas. Enough to be an existential threat to anything but a nearly full Terran army. Yeah, there's 3 Marines. Why not? Just fight. Well, there's 3 missile turrets and a couple Widowmons is why not, but the Marines are not high enough in number. And now Clem? Struggling. His third base completely cleared from the field, like it was never there at all, besides the minerals left over. No depots, no refineries, nothing left. He may just move his main command center to the third momentarily. 57 SCVs, Solar's still at 80 drones, which means that Clem has more army supply right now. Both sides at 3-3 on the ground. A small Marine counter drop. Gonna find an opportunity on the right side, guns down the Spore, and some of the drones. Actually gets a few. Drags the army back as well. The mutas fighting the missile turrets, and without building armor or high-sec auto tracking, and honestly, it wouldn't matter that much. With this many mutas ahead, ahead of the field. No, above. That's the one. What are words? For some reason, bird pops into my head. But the Ultras, one leading the charge, eats the Widowmon hit, but the rest are going to eat right through the command center. Planetary Fortress, it doesn't matter. And that's most of Clem's economy at this stage. Some of the SCVs going with it. Gets supply blocked off of it. A single Marine on the right side. Plenty more on the left. Trying to divide and conquer now. Maybe catch some of Solar's units off guard. He actually picks off an Ultralisk on retreat. But 2 missile turrets, and not enough. There's no repair. He's building supply depots. He's going to have to come back with the army. The SCVs being gutted by the mutas, which are still finding opportunities throughout the field. And there's nothing to easily catch them. The Ultra's going to intercept the army. The mutas looking for the rest. Everything on the ground just eviscerated instantaneously. And this could be it. The Ultra's coming in. Even some drones off the line. The entirety of the Zerg is bearing down on what's left of the Terrans. And does Solar have enough to break through? I honestly don't know. He's right behind the base, the planetary fortress, just a few banelings. The repair is desperate, and it's not enough. The planetary is destroyed, the army is obliterated, and Clem is forced to tap out of game number 1, maybe regretting his decision to force Solar into that 2-base muta. Well, he didn't force him down that road, but he kind of nudged him off of the one he planned on going down, and ended up with the Spire, and I don't think at this point he's regretting it. Clem blocking the third base leads to Solar showing off some of the most effective Mutalisk play I've seen in, well, quite a bit. We're seeing more and more as it's a little bit easier to find those timings with a Spire that's 50-50 cheaper and 5 seconds quicker. Let's not pretend like that's 2 Banelings in 5 seconds, which even Banelings take almost that long to explode. Doesn't make sense, but a strong game out of Solar in game number 1, but it really feels like Clem didn't respect the mutas until they were already doing too much damage. He was only building... I really think he only started building the missile turrets when he saw the mutas. He didn't predict them. But Solar just assumed, based on everything Clem saw, that he'd realize there were mutas. He was giving him the benefit of the doubt. There's a chance if Solar had just snuck the mutas out, there wouldn't have been missile turrets in time, and it's likely critical damage. Especially to Clem, who, if he gets caught off guard, you know, he might not be in the game for much longer. And speaking of, this is the map where, I believe the last time they faced, which Clem did take the series, but this map, Solar was able to pull some sneaky counterattacks on, to which Clem just straight up left the game without losing anything. To which just recounting history, I gave him a red card, all right? And a 1 series casting suspension. But he's come out of that. Okay. And by that, I mean we had other tournaments to cover. But we're back. We'll see what he's got. That was clean. The Mutas did exactly what they needed to do. They didn't overstay their welcome. They were just always hanging, like they're always hanging over your head. It's like death or taxes. Mutalisks will exact some of either. Either you have to spend on the missile turrets and keep your Marines at home, or your SCVs die. Take your pick. Maybe both. Inevitably. But he didn't focus so hard on the Mutas, he lost sight of the endgame. By the time Clem had 200 supply, there was already hive tech on the way, and he felt obligated to move out, because when you scan a hive with an Ultralisk cavern in production, and you're sitting on Marines and Whittle Mines, you know that things aren't going to get easier if you wait for longer. So, looks like Solar actually slipped out the drone before the SCV could be there. Luckily for him. Honestly, at this point, I'd probably lay off the third base blocking and just let Solar try his macro. As opposed to pushing him into something like Mutas. Third CC is on the way. Much more classical 3CC build, but this time around Clem has the minerals for it, so... Not a single Viper or Infestor. Wow. And it looks so good. Are we sleeping on mute? No, if you know it's coming, it's so... Mutas are still so fragile. Clem kind of was on autopilot. I wouldn't love to see, but I'd like to see. Yeah, that's more accurate. Somehow that's more accurate. Don't question it. All right, I'm the one talking. I have the microphone. I have spoken, and I will continue. Anyways, I'd like to see how Clem, like, say he knows for sure it's a lair. He gets a Reaper in, and he scouts that the lair is done right as it finishes. Doesn't see the Spire. Where does he go from there? Because he was going to go for the Banshee anyways. But he went double Engineering Bay and 2 Rex. I don't think you go double Engi Bay. I think you focus on Rex production. You get Marines out earlier, try to get a timing. Because remember, he didn't even end up getting the upgrades. That honestly may have been the tipping point. Because usually, almost exclusively the Terran has the advantage when you go Mutas. You really should not rely on having an upgrade advantage with Mutas. They're so gas intensive that it's almost impossible. But Solar had everything go right. He forced the issue as well. It wasn't like it was just lucky. Clem put his engineering base out there. Solar scouted it, took advantage of it. I don't want to attribute it to like some sort of divine providence, when clearly the Overseers were working much harder than that. We saw a non-changeling ability used, all right? That was crazy. Contaminate. Twice! Twice! I mean, it's not often, but if I had a nickel for every time we saw a Contaminate, I'd have 2 nickels, which is more than usual. What? Back! Well, the Overlord sees that Clem is doing the exact same thing again. Or at least, even if the timing might be slightly different, it's going to be the 3 racks. I don't know if Solar can intuit the Engineering Bay timing off it, but I wouldn't doubt it. Thought he was going to go Burrow, but he just misclicked his Queen key. I think that's one of the... It's like accidentally building a swarm host is accidentally clicking Burrow when you're trying to do other things. It happens surprisingly often. Partially because the default hotkey for swarm host is A, so if you're trying to A-click when you're accidentally selecting your larva. Thus, a swarm host was born that nobody wanted. Meanwhile, the bait and switch, the Hellions go... Brenda, this was so obvious. The Zerglings got it. Yeah, but what if they didn't? They did, Susan. They did. But what if they did? But no ifs, no buts. Especially not with whatever's going on there. How dare you? See, look, they got it too. Susan, shut the Banshee gets taken down out of the main. Clem shut down on the run by, slapped down on the Banshees, and again, Solar has everything going for him. And again, I have to make it clear. He forced the issue. He put the right units in the right place at the right time, and all it takes is a bit of a misstep from Clem, or wrong decision. And now Solar has 4 bases with 78 drones. Now Clem's coming across the map with his first Marines. Almost loses the Banshee. But there's already Hydras done, which is crazy, by the way. Those are not combat shielded Marines, which means they can't fight Hydras. Maybe without the Queens there, without any... If it was just the Hydras, but they got their whole posse. All right, they got the Queens, they got the Lings. That's enough. There doesn't need to be more in the whole description. This isn't YouTube tags. Was Autumn-Colored Marines trying to find something a little bit more easy to pick off, and the Zerglings are the softest target. Though crunchy on the outside. Loving on the inside. This is just getting weird. Moving on. Like and subscribe for misplaced affections. See that? That was good. There's also Patreon. Infestation bit already on the way, but Solar has 85 drones. As Tempo once said, don't let him get 80 drones. It's a little late. 8 minutes in, Hydra's infestation pit done. He's got a Baneling speed, Hydra speed, Overlord speed, Lurker den, more Lings, more Banes, more Hatches, a Partridge, and a Pear Tree. 'Tis the season. And this is... The supplies might be even, but... Well, nope, the Banelings roll in. Clem actually punching through the front line. The Hydra is forced to retreat a little further back. The Queens moving up to take some of the hits. And with some Zerglings in front, the Siege Tank unable to make the difference. Another Siege Tank kind of stranded here. And Solar just crushes the army. The Hydra count has reached a critical mass far too soon. And Clem's army hitting far too late. Now, there hasn't been any damage done on the other side of the map. He hasn't slowed down Clem's economy at all either. But I feel like with this sort of unit composition, Solar does not need to. He's already got the Hive nearly complete, the Lurker down alongside it. All he has to do is hold on against one more attack, and then he can have Lurkers with range, Adrenal Glands, maybe even some more creep spread, which Clem has done a pretty good job of keeping a hold of. Widowmine slams into the Queen, gonna try to draw out the Widowmine hits. So far, oh, Clem retargets onto a Hydra. Meanwhile, army on the right side, but Hydras and Lings on the high ground. Viper on the way, Lurker range, Adrenal Glands, all the fixins. Solar on top of everything right now. Well, also on top of that Widowmine, just not in a good way. Gunning down another Queen. The Frenchman with some revolutionary tactics. Meanwhile, the Marines still finding their way through. Clem. Oh, the target fire. Making up for some of the losses earlier. And the Widowmine starting to stack up the damage. Oof. Lurkers are on the way. The Ghost Academy just started. Hydra range is already done. And not a moment too soon, as this army is almost certainly enough to deal with anything but Lurkers. He's just slicing. No, that's far too many. Hey, oh, just gets stuck behind the mineral line, thinks he might have an angle, but Solar's acutely aware of it already. The Widowmines do not outrange the Lurkers. Oh, wow. Oh, ow, ow, ow. Well, but they do outrage the Zerglings. Oh, a lot of losses to the Widowmines in the initial phase of the engagement. Splits off a couple to try to defuse it. The lurker count is high enough now, though. There are ghosts on the way back at home, but the lurkers have held strong in the midfield. And Clem is driven back yet again. More Marines. He's relentless on the counterattacks. Targets the hatchery. Widowmines will burrow, try to drag him in. Prairie Dog micro. And he gets... Oh, the Widowmines! Everyone dies! A red wedding for everyone else, but... Meanwhile, the army on the field will be driven back by the Banes, though Clem kiting quite well. The Marauder in front, dangerously close, will eventually be taken out, but... Ooh. Clem, this battle has seen hundreds of units die. But wait, the lurkers! Oh no, they're already here! And there goes Clem! 2-0 solar. And that's it. He just slices right through. I didn't notice it. Clem didn't notice it. Solar just... When did he even move those? I guess he moved right through. Let's go to the solar cam. As soon as he takes out that was it during the snipe? It was during the snipe. Both sides staring at that hatchery, or so Clem thought. But the lurkers, solar, it didn't matter if the hatchery died. This was the play. And then, as he drives the army back, he moves the lurkers up. And by the time the reinforcements come out, you can see Clem's camera over here. Oh no. Oh no. Goodbye. GG. 2-0 solar. A masterclass. Clem coming up short. Unable to put the pressure on. And then unable to transition in time. Solar. Maybe stunt double is no longer accurate. Well, since Cyril isn't playing in anything. Solar's starting to look... Actually, right now... He's the rank 1 Zerg in the world. That might sound controversial, but since he is the rank 1 Zerg on this patch, Cyril has played one game against Clem in a Team League tournament. Otherwise, he has played in no other tournament. He lost that game to Clem. So, I'm calling it here. Until Cyril comes and reclaims his spot, which I'm sure he's capable of. Solar is right now. He's ranked above Rainer, and there's no other Zergs. It's only Cyril, and I wouldn't even necessarily categorize Cyril, as a Zerg. He's a Cyril. I mean, if you could beat Clem, there's only one other player above him. I know I'm trying to just keep going in circles with how I'm commentating it, but this is so clean, and it's not like Clem's playing perfect, but. There are little mistakes here and there that I don't know if he'd make on a higher profile sort of tournament. But the most understandable slips, like you would think that most players can't keep track of 2-3 drops at a time while target firing and doing anything else, like, building units. And apparently Clem also struggling to do so just a little bit. All it takes. The thing is the revolving, like Cyril and Rainer have both talked about it as well. Ryung, YouTube, subscribe. Solar! Solar! That's my job! Now you're taking my job! Hearthstone YouTube, unsub. Clem, you know what? I'm on board with that too. Why not? Is Hearthstone... Hearthstone isn't even here. Oh, Hearthstone is here. Alright. I was wondering. Shin YouTube as well. Does Shin have a YouTube? Ryung also casts. I mean, he's getting older. Ooh. Who too close to home? Like and subscribe. But yeah. Though, I'm not sure if Ryung commentates in English, but I'm sure he's covering these games. When he usually plays in tournaments. I believe Hearthstone does the same, but he plays in tournaments until he loses. And then just casts the rest. Same as me, for real. Give or take. I usually auto-resolve, though, before the tournament starts. And I see where it's going. But, where was I? Solar! Solar's just disappointed. Well, he beat Beyond earlier in the tournament, so we can't have more banter with him. I'm not quite as brushed up on his Korean. But yeah, you heard it here. Sub to Ryung, unsub to Hearthstone. And like Winter. Feels like there should be another word in there. Like the Winter. Moving on. Churlish, insubordinate, come back here. He's just sitting there menacingly. I know he is, Susan. I don't. Sorry, I blacked out for a moment. The Reaper Hellion is on the way across. Reaper just gets in. I didn't know what I was looking at because nobody was reacting to it, so I felt like we were just taking a breath. Did the Reaper kill itself? Just like me, for real. Yes. Clem so far has destroyed the only unit, denying it in the unit's loss tab as well. Because when you commit Sudoku, it doesn't count. Banshees with Cloak on the way, and Stim simultaneously. It looks like Clem... Yeah, he's not hiding anything. He's trying to hit a much sharper timing that delays the engineering bays and focuses on the Marines beforehand. And the layer's on the way. And he just starts it. Started it right before the Banshee comes in. So Clem should actually have a very good beat on the layer timing. The Hellions just running by. And, well, at this point, no, he gives him the old bait and switch. Shimmies back the other way, but still 3 Hellions. Tries to block. Fails horribly. 3 drones dead. Playing Ring Around the Hatchery. Oh, no! Lining up some of the drones. Just trying to keep them busy. But wait, there's more! Oh, those are Banshees. Still, though. Gonna get some free kills, and because the Queens are in an uncomfortable position, I'll be able to get a few more pickups, and the Spore Crawler's in a terrible spot here. Was planning on zoning out the Banshees, but the Banshees are already inside the house. He spots the Spore repositioning. Gonna get some more kills. And remember, behind this is a much quicker Marine timing. Is there a Baneling nest? No. He just started it. The lair's already done. Solar definitely thrown off. The Baneling nest was the target of this build, I believe. Like, that was the lair tech he wanted to go for. Sure, maybe Hydras eventually, but Speed Banes to defend early. And now, Speed Banes are going to be significantly slower. Meanwhile, there's 1-1 already in production. Clem with Combat Shield on the way behind Stim, clearly done. The double medevac drop is loaded up, and he's on the side of the map that he can drop right into Solar's main, which is definitely an uncomfortable thing, to say the least, especially when you're unprepared. The double medevac. And, well, there's +1 Carapace Lynx. How many of them? Enough, I think. Therefore, I am. Yeah, so does Clem. Ooh, some of the Marines getting clawed to death. Single SCV. Big job, huh? I mean, not really. Gonna repair the Banshees back at home. But always a valuable tool. The Queen! Straight a little too far forward. Picks up. There and back again. But the Spores, the Sporimeter. So far, zoning things out right at the edge of the creep. And Solar Starting to pull it together now, but definitely a bit more frantic than the previous games. Clem able to get some real damage done. Killing 8 drones, forcing out all these Zerglings, delaying the tech. The upgrade advantage will be solidly in Clem's favor. The Banshee's headed north before a Spore Crawler is even done. And they just cloak some, but there's another base down the center. Widowmines will burrow. The base itself taking a surprising amount of damage. Well, I guess there's no anti-air but Queens. He didn't go for Hydras. He didn't go for Mutas. And going without lists is quite a risk. He starts the Hydra Den with a Hive. But pick up of the Marines. Badly bruises the hatch. Could use a Transfuse or 3. Marines keeping pace on either side. Knock it out. Some more drones. And Solar, still not able to get up to that 80 drone mark. Though he's trying, and every time he gets there, Clem's ready to put him right back down. And now in the red, that hatchery, quite a liability. The Spore Crawler knocks one of the Banshees out of the sky, but drags the Queens away yet again, which means the creep has not been spread out. And Clem, he doesn't have 2-2 done, but he finds a position, and that hatchery is already bruised. And it can be easily broken. Widowmines at the back. The drones transferring into it. The hatchery gunned down. And a few forward mines. He has drilling claws done as well, making him significantly more difficult to deal with. More mines. Big chunks of Zerg taken down. The Marines line up and take down any smaller ones so they don't get triggered by the mines. Spores out of position, and now Solar's down 20 supply. Things getting more and more difficult for the Korean Zerg as Clem reasserts himself in this series. Showing why he's so tough to deal with. You can't... No matter where Solar goes, it's the wrong place. He just has to decide which is more wronger. Yeah, write that down. Put that on a mug and sell it to your mother. She collects them. Alright, it's cute. Should call sometime. Meanwhile, Widowmines slam into the Lings. There's just one Baneling. Target practice for Clem. Picks up most of the Marines. Ghost Academy on the way behind before even a hint of lurkers. Targets the Bane. Guns down the Zerglings. Blinding Cloud optimistic. Baneling's taken down. And the Clempire strikes back. Clem with a strong, stiff arm out of the game. As the Banshees keep Solar at bay, the Hellions kept him busy for long enough to get momentum. And the Medivacs just never let up. Solar. Unable to get anything going. A decisive difference. Clem focused on getting the stim and getting those Medivacs out there so much quicker. He adapted with he skipped the upgrades for a little while, but it ended up giving him a larger upgrade lead as time went up. As time went on. Because he was able to delay Solar so much. Well, now we're going into Ruby Rock. By the way, this is Wardi's Monday Cups, which you already support as a significant chunk of the prize pool. I try to use about half a Patreon. Not a hard rule, but it usually works out to about that to support a lot of the weekly cups. I mean, it's a good investment, I think. But if you'd like to support Wardi and the Wardi 2025 tournament, which we're going to start seeing some games from very soon, TM, and you can find on Wardi's channel as well. You can twitch.tv/Wardi with 3 eyes. Don't ask. I assume the other ones were taken. I actually haven't asked. Maybe you can ask. It's fine. Or maybe not. Just don't be weird. Impossible challenge. Meanwhile. And the max prize pool is 10,000. Because if you go over 10,000, there's a chance that Blizzard will want to take a cut. And that's why a lot of tournaments are kept at that. Yes. When money gets involved, Blizzard does care, it seems. Or at least most tournaments don't want to risk it. So, but we're not there yet. I think Wardi started at 5,000. Now we're working our way up for the big end of the year tournament. Not just like a weekly cup, but instead, gonna have 16 of it's going after the qualifiers and build up 16 of the top players in the GSL style tournament. So I'm looking forward to that for multiple reasons, obviously, and I hope you are as well. And if you got the means of motivation, you should go direct to Wardi if you got the opportunity. But otherwise, indirectly works as well. Same with the Monday night weeklies for Comeback TV, the French organization. The Stegosaurus Cup with Pig and Stegosaurus. I guess that's the organization name. I didn't know about them before, but I approve. Yeah, still a lot of grassroots SC2. Which is the only roots we need, or should. I don't know, I said it so combatively. That's just my voice, alright? I'm kind of losing it, I don't know why. Series 2 intense. Zergling taken out. Mercilessly. Not with caring murder, just uncaring murder. Glad I could pontificate on that. Meanwhile, Solar does get his third base, which, you know, might be better for Clem. So far, every game Solar's been delayed on his third has ended poorly for Clem, so I still think it's worth it, but probably not slapping down an engineering bay worth it. Can really see Solar. Feels like he's leveled up since the patch. He went on vacation for like a month, came back to the new patch, and is now ranked the #1 Zerg besides Cyril. So, and I think you can see why. Despite the struggles in that last game, Clem has not been able to replicate that success. Of course, that could change. This map has a short rush distance. That is an armory. He doesn't have a third CC, so this isn't a 3cc Hellbat All-In. This is an actual Hellbat All-In, which in my opinion is much better, though it is All-In indeed. Kind of a crazy choice. Looking to mix it up here, but probably also using that quick rush distance, get across the map, get some damage done. It's very unlikely that Solar will have anything but queens and lings. Unfortunately, if those queens and lings are well placed enough, there's a chance he can defend it without much in the way of losses. Overlord is going to come in. It's going to spot... Oh, no. The Liberator behind this is actually supply blocked. Clem just now starting the Liberator, which is definitely going to slow things down. But here come the Hellbats. Queens, there is one transfuse banked up. The Queen's retreating. The drone's on the run. They'll come back if there's anything to come back to. He wants to target down that Queen in the front. She's the most valuable. Solar knows as well. Just absorbing the... Hold the line, ladies! Ah! Well, so far the transfuses, but targeting the medevac. Clem not microing it back. Small counterattack cuts off the reinforcements, but indeed the Queens will get charbroiled, but the drones, for the most part, still very much alive. And that Liberator being even slightly delayed is a massive blow to the potential effectiveness of this timing. Now, Solar, this is the real result. Solar only has 38 drones. He's building more now, but it isn't like he has a booming economy. Though at the same time, Clem does not have a third command center done. So neither side going to have the economy they'd like to at this stage of the game in a normal sort of macro game. The Liberator coming in, spots the Spore just in time. But the Zerglings, there's just a single Hellion and one Marine. The SCVs are pulled. Hellbat is the choice. Honestly, probably a better choice if you only have one. Gonna delay the third command center with just a few lings. Beautifully done so far by Solar. And delaying, you're gonna kill one depot. This is a... So when you don't have a Banshee to follow it up, and your Hellions get caught on the field, well... Clem, his position goes from 10, like maybe slightly behind, to significantly so. I think after that Hellbat pressure, while he lost most of his units, his economy was still comparable. But now, because Solar delayed the 3rd Command Center, destroyed some depots, forced the Liberator back, Solar's at 60 drones and counting, and he's chosen to go for roaches, as opposed to Ling Bane, which I think is the right call here. The Liberator trying to find its way in, finds a little nasty little angle there, and the drones. Oh, the Queens will deal with it, but 4 drones dead. Was it worth it? Not great, not terrible. Overseer at the back will spot and make sure he knows that Clem is going for what he suspects, which is 5 racks Marines with engineering base. So are spooling up for a maxed out Stefano-style 200 supply roach timing. Ravagers make it a lot more effective. Clem is moving out, which could backfire quite dramatically, as I don't think there's any way he has the units to break through the Roach Ravager right now. And if he loses a critical mass, there's no way he can defend the counterswing. Now the Marines and medevacs coming up, the siege tanks at the back. There's only 2 Ravagers right now, not even enough to take out tanks in a single volley. The hatchery under fire. The one surviving Hellbat is finally taken down by the Queens. They can die happy. Meanwhile, a volley of corrosive bow will take out 1 tank. The other, he's gonna try to save it. Does not. Every tank is precious, as Solar now has 4 bases of production. He's gonna max out on roaches in a very aptly named fashion. And the army supply, there's 1 tank, 24 Marines. Against 22 roaches, 7 Ravagers, 1-1 is completed for Solar. This is optimistic at best, trying to defend this, Clem. But it is a lot of Marines, that single tank. Solar's not maxed out, he's not as high. The boys can be pulled. I think they must be at some point. Trying to zone it out, Solar dividing his forces in a way that makes it very difficult to justify pulling the boys yet. But the natural is already under fire. That single tank, there's 1 bunker. I mean, the boys are pulled, pops into the bunker, siege tank taken down. Boys off the line, the reinforcements on the way, and there's just too much Zerg. Solar overrunning the field. The boys just evaporate. The roaches, they don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming. There's no reason to do so. No upgrades in production, but they're not needed, as Solar racks up another decisive victory over the #1 Terran in the world. And it didn't even look that close. Solar crushing through, and with 3 different styles in his victories. And his loss was lacking in that layer tech, but we had Mutas, Hydras, and then Roach Ravager. The only time he lost was the Mass Ling Bane, that lack of mobility and anti-air, or ability to deal with the air. Bringing us to our anti-spoiler game, where Clem plays against a YouTuber, apparently. Earlier in the tournament, so a bit of a spoiler, but doesn't necessarily mean he wins this game, but against Shin, who we had to eventually go through. Just a single highlight game, but I want to compare and contrast, especially since Solar is out here plugging Shin's YouTube. You know what washed up players do, is they make a YouTube. Like and subscribe. But just so you thought maybe Clem could fight his way back, there's still however much time left in the video, but no. Solar crushes him with the Roach Hammer. The ill-fated attacks, just hastening his demise. And Solar looking almost unstoppable. Not Clem's best series, I don't think. Didn't have that knife edge of micro that we're kind of used to seeing. But honestly, we usually only see that when he's already put himself in a position that's ahead. He has the opportunity to show off that micro. But Solar smothered him. Solar with the perfect macro and the overwhelming amount of units in the right place at the right time. So many times Clem comes up a ramp and surprise Hydra Slings and Banes, which, you know, they should be there, but so often they're not. because either you don't have the numbers or you're just too slow. But Solar not only kept up with Clem, he outstripped him. Shin, not quite as accomplished, though I'd argue even more committed to the lair tech style very often. We'll see. And we'll see if it's literally just playing against Solar, which made the difference. Jimmy said this was a solid macro game, and that's all I know. Okay? So, the compare and contrast should be real here between the first and the second best Zerg in Korea right now. What is this spawning pool doing besides making the queen have to walk an extra amount of time? That's an interesting choice. Meanwhile... Hello? The Reaper just goes by because... Well, it's just rude. Pops the queen off the creep a little bit further. Still no third base. Shin's just building a dozen... You do not build 12 lings at this time unless you're trying to be sneaky. Unless you're trying to slip something by. It is... 12 lings don't do any damage unless there's nothing to defend them. Even 2 Hellions usually are enough to deal with them if they have any sort of jump. But the Zerg rush comes out, the queens zoning, a lair is on the way. And the Hellions are coming across the map. Clem greedily sending out his Hellions, like most Terrans will, and hedging his bets on whether he'll have enough to defend at home. And, well, 2 Hellions on the ramp, and a fortuitous timing, or so it seems. He's gonna hit the SCVs at the natural. Actually, a great timing. Delays the barracks. 3 SCVs dead. The rest of the Hellions and the Reaper coming back home. Shin, with a relatively minimal amount of Zerglings, is able to undercut everything Clem was trying to do on the field. And also, important, he gets a scout of the 2 racks. We don't see the barracks because Shin didn't actually see it land. It's technically considered a unit while it's flying. But I digress. He saw 2 racks, and he knows the starport timing. And, well, what is this? Mutas! Wow. Okay, we're going to get a more direct comparison than I expected. The Mutas. Against Clem's. He's getting an armory. Which indicates... What? SCV ready. Hellbats? Clem is all about the Hellbats today, it seems. Stim is done. 3rd command center will be landing. And Shin's gonna have at least 4 or 5 mutas banked up. Grabs the Hellions. Rips them apart. The survivors pull back. I'm not sure about the armory here. Still a bit of a questionable one. 2 Hellbats. I mean, that's something. Armory's not that expensive. It's still a big commitment compared to almost anything else at this stage. The key part about Hellbats is you can heal them with medevacs because they are anthropomorphized into biological units. Don't ask how that works. All right, it's an uncomfortable process for everyone involved. 6 Mutas on the way. The Banelings are already spotted. Shin, only 52 drones right now. Clem, nearly equal on workers. So, not a bad position to be in economically, especially if he could intercept any of the mutas on the way out. The 1-1 upgrade start for Clem as the Evo chambers for Shin are not even complete. The Hellions and the Hellbats tanking. They'll sacrifice. They'll expect some of us in the wreckage from us. Drops out the Marines. The Muta's trying to come in to clean things up. The Hellbat did not have the dignity to die. Will finally do so. And Shin starting to solidify his map control and his economic advantage. The Muta's shutting down this attack easily. And the siege tank on its own will be repaired. The Marines coming in. Might be able to pick off one of the Mutas. Another Marine? Sure, he's targeted on it, but it's not quite enough. 1-1 starts, and Shin will maintain quite a supply lead. Clem again getting caught out against the Mutalisks. And in a very uncomfortable position. Though, just to compare and contrast with his match against Solar. Solar had like 5 bases and 80 drones in a similar position. Clem is nearly equal on workers and will have an upgrade advantage as time goes on. He's already got the armory done, as we noted so dramatically. So, Shin is not nearly in the economic, not really economic, but production position to overwhelm Clem very quickly. He doesn't have the sheer amount of larva production to build the units to overrun him. That is potentially the missing piece, though Clem is still struggling to... He's not going to be able to move out, at least until his upgrades are done. Building 10 Marines at a time. He's got a second factory on the way. Drilling claws in production. The Mutas are looking for an opportunity. Not really finding much as the Marines are committed to home defense. The Mutas. Clem intercepting, and Shin looking the other way, loses 1. Loses 2. A third badly bruised. And each one of them is a significant investment at this stage of the game. Looking for that critical mass. Clem now even on supply. Scans the main. No hive. That's all he needed to see. Well, an infestation pit would be a very important part, but Shin does not have an infestation pit on the way. He doesn't even have 2-2 upgrades on the way. So Clem knows that he can just focus on maxing out the army, and eventually it should be stronger than what Shin can put on the field. A 200 supplied Terran army with Marines, Mines, and Medevacs is better than 200 supply of Mutiling Bane, partially because you require so many drones. You're just not going to have the army supply. It relies on picking up parts of the army, crushing it, and refilling before the Terran can move out again. Clem just sitting back. That scan told him everything he needed to know. The hive or lack thereof. Thor is here. 2-2 is on the way. Clem cornering the Mutas somehow. Gets a couple. Whittling down the count. The creep is still stretching out across the field. But again, there's no hive tech. There's no burrow. It's going to come down to completely crushing Clem's army on the field. Which seems a bit optimistic. Meanwhile, the Mutas are on the wrong side of the map to defend the base. They'll be intercepted by some more. Tries to target down successfully. Gets another Widowmine. This hatchery taken out for free in the bottom left corner. A cheeky gold base. Clem, 2-2 is closing in. And he's going to be on Shin's doorstep as it completes. Though maybe a little bit early. The Widowmines. Oh my. Oh, sweet Kerrigan. 16 Zerglings. Maybe a couple Banes. More Widowmines to zone out. They will... Well, the Thor is here. And Clem just gunning down the smaller groups of Zerg and the larger ones shying away from the mines. The Marines just steering forward. And the Thor holding its ground will distract many. The Widowmines take out so many of the Banes. And Clem will be cleared from the field. But wait! The Terran army and the Natural gonna take down a bunch of Overlords as well. Getting kind of close to supply blocking. Shin gets a Queen, targets a Bane, gets some Zerglings as well. You can't stop me, another one! He gets them all! And another Bane! And they will not be stopped! Tearing through everything! And the moment the Banelings get close, he picks up and he gets out. Because Clem will rule this sector or see it burnt to ashes before him. The Banelings are not enough. The Mutas are not enough. The Marines... few, but all too effective. And if you don't win the fight by a lot, you don't win it at all with the Zerg. The Medevacs coming through, the Stims just so effective, and now Clem's up 50 supply. And I feel like this was a perfect example to compare and contrast. All right. Solar's Mutaplay and this Shin. Widowmine slams into the Mutas. The rest have to flap away. The Marauders out in front. The Queen's going down. The Banelings optimistic. Clem actually retargeting some of those Widowmines mid-fight. The Marauder's gonna force the issue. He has to go forward. More Widowmines. A beautiful spread. I can't believe it's not butter. And while Shin might take out this wave, but wait. There's more. The circumstances differing slightly, but Shin unable to swerve away. The Mutas eventually run into the brick wall of 200 supplied Terran. And if you don't have Hive Tech, GG! If you don't have Hive Tech, you might as well get started on that YouTube channel is what I'm trying to say. Clem showing how to deal with it in a stronger position. Solar with his almost clean sweep. Shin coming up short and obviously leading to that finals. But quite a spread of games. And while Clem might not have had his best series against Solar, Solar put himself in that position and took full advantage. And he didn't even really have to use much of the late game Hive style. Of course, Clem is also going to meet him on the field with that aggressive style. Who knows if we'll see the Terrans kind of retreat back into their shell more often and play a more totally strategic, we'll say nicely, way of the late game. But it remains to be seen. And thank you for watching. I hope it made your day just a little bit better. Thank you to Wardi. And if you got the means and motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking, subscribing, and hyping is still free. At least for now. Thank you to our mule tier patrons for bringing in the extra minerals. Big Jake, Davendor, Kate, Mario, Suit. Glad you still enjoy. And thank you for watching. Make sure to check out this video that Jimmy picked out for you. And I'll see you next time. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill.